Hello and welcome to the ScatterVolt channel, and I finally did it. I got myself a Skytech Prebuilt Gaming PC. I'm going to unbox, check out, and perform an overview on for this video. I understand Skytech is one of the most popular pre-built manufacturers there are, and I've talked about a lot of them in my previous videos, but this is the first time I'm actually seeing one in person. And now you guys know me. Skytech, I know, offer many different configurations of their computers on their website or on Amazon, and I wanted to choose the one that I think was the best configuration for the price. So with that said, I feel like I'm kind of clickbaiting you guys, because in the title of this video, I mentioned $1,000, but this pre-built isn't $1,000. It's less than that actually. It's $950. Oh, okay. Got a Skytech panel right here, troubleshooting guide, and a maintenance guide. Ooh, got a quality control checklist. Hopefully all their pre-builts come with something like this. And what is here on the front? We got a keyboard and mouse, power cable, but let's open up the computer because that's what we're all here to see. Ooh, here's the front of the computer. I like this case. I'll already tell you that much because this is the Metallic Gear Neo Air. You know what, check this out. Important monitor connection. That's right. If you are gonna plug this into your PC or into your monitor, obviously do it from the graphics card. I can't tell you how many times I've seen in my comment section of people who build my computers and they're like, there's no display out to my monitor. And that's probably because they plugged in their display cable into the motherboard when they shouldn't have. Oh, and don't worry, I'll get into specifications in a little bit, but I'm saving it because I think it's a pretty good spec. Now, if this is what I think it is, okay, this is what I think it is. There we go. Let's take out this pink piece right here. And there you have it. This right here is the Skytech Blaze 3.0, featuring again, that metallic Neo Air case. But for the main internals, you're given an Intel Core i5-12400F along with an Intel ARC A750 graphics card with 8 GB of VRAM, with that big 256-bit memory bus and AV1 encoder and decoder. You're also given 16 GB of DDR4 RAM and a 1 TB M.2 SSD found right there. And you're given 1, 2, 3 RGB fans that will be controllable from the motherboard, an aftermarket CPU cooler, not bad. Thankfully, you're given 2 sticks of DDR4 RAM, because I can't tell you how many pre-builts you'll come across, even in this price range, that come with a single stick of RAM, which is really embarrassing. And now everything's plugged in, and by my assumption, let's hook this thing up and start it up. Oh, but you know what though, Skytech, I gotta do this. I think we all need to see this. I wanna know how good your cable management is before we turn on this computer. And it looks like they pass. This looks really good. Let me rip off this front panel though, because there is one thing found in here. We're given a little accessories box. Is there anything else in here we need to know? Just screws and zip ties. All right. Before we turn on the computer, I want to unbox the keyboard and mouse just to see what we're getting. This right here is a membrane keyboard with an aluminum back, I think, or a metal back. Hopefully it looks good. That keyboard, really springy. So I know what you may be thinking. All you're doing right now is really just showing this pre-built and what it's like to unbox it, but you're probably wondering, why should I care about it? Well, that's because I think there's a lot of pre-builts out there that are just suboptimal. The parts lists that are inside of them include outdated or PC parts in them that just don't hold their value and quite frankly can be beaten out with better components at the same price. And that's where the Blaze 3.0 I think could be a really good value pre-built, is because of its system configuration. This has, again, that Intel Core i5 and that ARC A750 graphics card. And I think the combination of that 6-core, 12-threaded i5 processor with those ARC A750 graphics is going to make this system too much for 1080p, but I think just enough for 1440p. So I feel like people need to give these Intel ARC pre-builts a better chance, and I'm happy to see Skytech bring one of these out. And of course, we're gonna see how well it runs all the games at 1440p later on in the video. But let's see if it actually works. Power switch on, power cable, and so far so good. RGB is on, that's good. There we go, Windows 11 and this should already be activated, so no need to input in our own key. Okay, that was fairly brief and quick. Now I'm gonna go ahead, get into Windows, and I wanna see what comes on this Skytech pre-built. Is there any bloatware? We're gonna know soon. Okay, and look at that. As I said, Intel ARC is already preloaded onto the system to let us download the latest drivers for our Intel ARC graphics card. Let's go ahead and open it up. Let's see what the latest drivers are. The current one is from March. Let's check for updates. There's definitely a new, oh, really? And look at that. We have the latest driver available for download. Let's click on that, let that run, and telling you guys, managing and using this Intel ARC software is no different than NVIDIA or AMD. But you know, let's show a few other things. If you wanted to say record any games, we do have the option to either stream or just do any game recording. And once again, we have access to the AV1 Codec, which means we can record games at like a sensible bit rate, like let's say 10,000 kilobits per second. The amount of quality you're able to compress with the AV1 Codec is really good, which means your file sizes aren't gonna be ridiculous. Anyways, let's go ahead and express install. Pretty easy, straightforward. We'll probably have to restart our system after this, but you know what? We'll probably have to check one more thing before we get to gaming. All right, Skytech, let me check for two more things. Let me go to advanced, or main, I guess. XMP profile is already enabled, good to see, but is resizable bar enabled? PCI subsystem settings, there we go. Above 4G decoding and resizable bar are enabled. That is great. That is a requirement, pretty much necessary for Intel ARC. So with that, now we're actually ready to get to gaming. All right, so I want to test out the gaming performance of the Blaze 3.0 from Skytech, but I want to do that while playing and recording at the same time, because I feel like that's what a lot of you guys who might be interested in this Prebuilt Gaming PC are probably gonna do. So I'm using the Intel ARC software with the AV1 Codec, just at 19 megabits per second. Let's see how this does. As far as settings go, we are at quality, ultra settings, and we have Intel XeSS turned on and set to balance, and the frame rate is on the top left, and we are playing at 1440p, and once again, recording at the same time. If you like what you see, then great. So far, so good. Oh, we got a guy behind us. Woo! So far, the computer's handling it at 1440p. So let's say you wanted more frame rate. If that's the case, let's go into graphics settings, change the quality to balance, and let's change the Intel XeSS upscaling to performance. Let's apply those settings and see what frame rate we get now. Actually, not gonna lie, it's about the same. Let's just go ahead and confirm our theory. Let's set this back to ultra. Let's set this back to balance. Let's see if the frame rate is literally the same. I'd say though, if you were planning to run Warzone on this computer, it can do it easily at 1080p, but if you wanted to stretch it to 1440p, you totally can if you're fine with, say, like 80 to 90 frames per second. But that is all possible. Oh! That is all possible, though, with the Intel XeSS upscaler, which is like NVIDIA DLSS or AMD FSR. But it's actually more similar to DLSS than AMD FSR, actually, due to the... All right, are we about done? Is this a good performance overview? Are we convinced that this computer can run Warzone? I think so. I'm gonna leave out my teammates to dry. Let me try another game. Okay, so here's a new type of game I want to benchmark on this system, and that is Returnal. This was a PS5 exclusive, but it did get ported over to the PC recently, and there's a good reason why I wanted to show you guys this game. If you at all wanted to play a PS5 exclusive that recently got ported over to PC, even if it's as recent as, say, Returnal, I wanted to see if this computer with its Intel ARC graphics cards and those drivers can handle a game like this at 1440p high settings. Yeah, for real. And so far, we're getting above 60 frames per second. Not bad, but there's a better way to get a definite answer on this. If we go here to settings, one of the cool things with this game is that we can run a benchmark. And here, remind you, we're recording and playing the game at the same time. Let's see how much frame rate this computer can get at 1440p high settings on this PS5 exclusive. All right, so we're wrapping up the benchmark. What is the frame rate we're gonna get? Well, 60 frames per second, right on the dot at high settings, 1440p. If you you want to play a AAA game from the PS5, you can definitely do that on the Intel ARC A750. And on a game like this, it probably isn't going to make or break your game if you're getting like, 60 frames per second. It's not a competitive first-person shooter. So with that, let's try one more game. All right, here's another game you guys probably want to know if it runs well on this computer or not. And this time I've opted for a game that could actually use more frame rate, say like in the hundreds. And if that's the case, then here I have F1 2022. And I have the game running at high settings, 1440p. And even though this is an Intel graphics card, you can use AMD FSR, which is what we're using right now to help upscale the game, lower the resolution a little bit, but maintain the same graphical fidelity, allowing us to get this really high frame rate you see on the top left of the screen. Now, if you're curious if this PC can do ray tracing, it probably can. I reviewed a similar pre-built in another video that I published not too long ago with an Intel ARC A750, and on Ghostwire Tokyo, I turned on ray tracing, I turned on Intel XeSS, and lo and behold, it ran the game actually kind of well, above 60 frames per second at 1440p with ray tracing. So for those of you who were also maybe worried about that, yes, this computer with that Intel ARC graphics card can also do ray tracing. All right, so what are my opinions on the Skytech Blaze 3.0 pre-built gaming PC now that I've set it up, I've played on it, and got more or less my conclusions. At $950, I really can't complain about its performance because it achieves the target that I think every gaming PC, or really any pre-built gaming PC in this price range, should achieve, and that is 1440p gaming at 60 frames per second. As we saw in Warzone, F1 2022, and even that PS5 exclusive Returnal, this PC smashed all those games, getting no less than 60 frames per second on average on all those games, and they were very much playable, once again, on that Intel ARC graphics card. And to give this PC actually a little bit more credit, we were recording and playing games at the same time through the Intel ARC software with that AV1 Codec, which let me also tell you about that. So all three of those game files, I believe, came up to maybe like 1 gigabyte, because I set the bitrate to 1900 kilobits per second, or just 19 megabytes per second. And that's really all you need with the AV1 codec, because it's able to capture so much quality in such a small file size that you don't need to go overkill on the bitrate to have nice looking footage. So if you wanted to become a content creator and do a lot of game recording and even game streaming with that AV1 codec, you won't be having like all of your storage on this pre-built get taken up by your gameplay recordings, which is a nice thing to see. So all in all, there's a lot of great reasons to consider this pre-built. It can do gaming, it can do content creation, which haven't even talked about the uses of AV1 when it comes to DaVinci Resolve, because that is gonna help increase your hardware acceleration for decoding certain types of footage. So that's also useful for video editors. And all of that in a $950 pre-built as found on Skytech's website is actually, I'm gonna say it's an okay deal. If you were to build this PC yourself, you could probably build it at around $700, maybe a little bit above that if you include the additional accessories and the nicer case, so maybe around $725. So you're paying about a $225 price premium to have this computer already built for you, already have Windows installed, already have the necessary software and programs needed to get this computer set up for you, which is not outrageously bad. And in my opinion, this pre-built versus others in its price range, I think beats them in terms of performance and even other features. Even if you look at Skytech's own lineup, this pre-built has more storage than other pre-builts in its price range, and even that graphics card, the A750, is faster than say the 3050. It's on par with the 3060 and way faster than the 1660 Super if you've managed to stumble across one of those pre-builts from Skytech in this same price range. And I'll close out the video with this. Drivers for these Intel ARC graphics cards have been continually getting better, more so than say the competition with every update. And it's exciting to see how far these graphics cards have come from when they first launched to where they are now. And I expect that sort of progress to continue into the year. And as what Intel has stated many times, they are committed to their graphics card lineup, including ARC, for maintaining and keeping up with updates on these graphics cards. So I don't think there's any risk in choosing a pre-built gaming PC like this, knowing how much value, features, and performance you can get out of it, and it's certainly one of the better ones at its price range. So that is it for this video, and if you want to check out the Blaze 3 from Skytech, then I'll have a link to it in the description below. And I'd like to say thank you to Skytech for sending out this pre-built for review, which they have graciously allowed me to have creative control on. So Skytech have not had any peer review on this video. They're allowing me to upload it as is. So very cool of them. And that's good because this pre-built certainly doesn't suck. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video. And this is the ScatterVolt channel signing out.